Hi, friend, and welcome back to Like Us Pod. I'm your host, Erin Jones-Wesley, and today we are keeping score on two of my favorite current Housewives franchises, Real Housewives of Rhode Island. Then, plus, we're going to talk about the Real Housewives of Atlanta, episode 10. At the end of the episode, as always, we will update the scorecard and see what it says. But first, let's get into a hot mic confessional. I want to talk about Love Island. So I need to confess that I did tell myself that I wasn't going to fully get into Love Island. I say this every single year. And then here we are, yet again, my third season watching. And I have almost tripled down on my Love Island love in this third season because now I'm making content about Love Island. I literally started making a video about how their following has grown since the original cast was announced versus 1 week into the villa. And it's so crazy because I know it's only been we're 7 days in, and I already have really strong opinions about people that I don't even know. My first hot take is that I don't think Melanie's that bad. Oops, sorry. And I love Kata, but I think everyone loves Kata, so that's not as much of a hot take as it is I'm a Melanie defender, you guys. Sorry if that's a bad take, but I don't think it is. I feel like with Melanie, she has said exactly who she is from the beginning. And I do have a little bit of respect for that. I know people think she's like Huda 2.0. I don't think she's like Huda because I think we need to always remember that Huda was encouraging racism in her comments. And we have not seen that from Melanie. So it is not the same. And I think we're comparing apples to oranges there. And I think we need to stop, bringing that in. I will say that the thing about Love Island that works every single time is that it's so fun to watch the show and talk about it in real time online. So if you are in Fiji on the Love Island train, find me online. We're talking about it. And then I won't feel so alone. Okay, so let's get back into the housewives. Okay, this is Real Housewives of Rhode Island, episode 11. And the episode starts, and Joellen's on the phone call with Alicia. They are picking up kind of exactly where we left off, where Joellen is upset about Liz being sucky at their lunch. And Joellen feels like she's ready to move on, but I don't know if Liz is. And I feel like Joellen is kind of the type of person who just wants to be able to say terrible things, wants the other person to receive the terrible things she says, but then isn't going wants to be forgiven for starting it. And Liz is stubborn, and it doesn't sound like Liz has any inkling of wanting to apologize. But I do think that Joellen, once she processes things out loud and has a little venting sesh, she's ready to move on. And I get that because sometimes you do just need to vent. The scene doesn't really get anywhere except for that Joellen just vents to Alicia. We then see Rula leaving the house yet again, and it's just to go visit Brian at work. So Brian's is a podiatrist, and we're getting a lot of foot shots in this scene. I don't really like it. Rula's like, "Oh, I hurt my foot on a vacation," and Brian's gonna help fix the foot, and he's wrapping her toe, but we don't really see anything wrong with the toe. So I'm like, is anything actually wrong with Rula's foot, or is this a fake thing? I don't know. I have questions, and Brian gives me the creeps. Sorry, I had to say it. I don't like his deal. I don't like anything about it. It's just I don't love it. Rula and Brian are gonna throw a party though. And Brian says, "Well, you're Lebanese, so why don't we do a hookah night?" And Rula says, "Why don't we do an Arabian Nights theme?" And I am gonna give Rula a like us point here because she said she loves the party and she loves the theme. And that is very much at least like me, and I feel like it's probably like you too. Who doesn't love a theme? So we are gonna give, even though Rula's feet were out and I didn't like that the toes were out, I did like that she likes a theme. And so Rula, you get a point. She also makes a point to say that Joellen is not invited. Joellen is specifically not invited. And I appreciate Rula standing 10 toes down. She's like, I don't like this woman who's talking bad about my marriage. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. It doesn't really matter. She doesn't need to be at the party, making everyone uncomfortable. And that feels valid. In the next scene, we see Ashley and Jared, and they're at home with Jared's parents. And Ashley's cooking for taco night, and she is saying that Jared has the taste buds of a first grader. She's just like, yeah, he doesn't really eat anything. He doesn't want to eat tacos. I'm like, that is some East Coast shit if I've ever heard it. I feel like there's no Californian who doesn't want to eat tacos for dinner. I just feel like I eat tacos for dinner multiple nights a week sometimes. It is the easiest meal. Ashley has the Trader Joe's beans, which is exactly what you get. And then you can just make tacos. It's such a cheap meal. It's so delicious. I give Ashley like us point for this because I love a taco night and I love the Trader Joe's shortcut. And I feel bad for her that Jared doesn't like to eat anything other than mac and cheese and chicken tenders. It's like, come on, Jared. I also feel like there's this crazy thing happening where they still keep talking bad about Audrey's. And, she's like, "Oh, I think Jared's gonna cry talking about Audrey's clothes." And he's like, "No, I'm not." And I don't know, as a sidebar about Ashley, this is gonna sound like I don't like her, but I do like her. I'm gonna pose a question to the group. Do we think Ashley is secretly a raging narcissist? And I'm asking that sincerely because I feel like she's so aloof to everything that's happening on the show and to everyone around her. So is she overwhelmed from motherhood, or is she just like really self-absorbed and has no idea about anything because she's just worried about so many other things? It's equally unbothered, but also it feels like she's just not paying attention to the world around her all at the same time. And I just need to know why Ashley, I don't know, like is she self-aware, unself-aware, or actually clueless? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. We then see Dolores and Liz, and they're with the Rhode Island senator, and Dolores and Liz sit down with someone from the Rhode Island Senate to talk about menopause. And I do like that they're using their platform to advocate for women's needs, especially since this is something that is not something that a lot of people talk about. I know that menopause has like really begun to be talked about in the zeitgeist. And before then, it wasn't. So it is women who seem to be like in the really young baby boomers slash Gen X who are really taking on this conversation and making it more of a point. I know Halle Berry was a part of talking about menopause because they thought that she had herpes, but actually she had menopause. And Liz and Dolores are working on a menopause weed gummy. And Rhode Island is the first state to have women who are going through menopause be a part of a protected group. And I think this is a great part to use her advocacy to showcase something that affects millions of women across the country, across the world. So I think that's really special. But it is really interesting that they're just like, chopping it up with their state leadership. But you know what? Movers and shakers. That's what I see. We then see Rosie arrive to Alicia's house in a pink Jeep, and she essentially drives a Barbie car, and it's very cute. And she brings up the concept of ducking, which I had never heard of this, but I've also never driven a Jeep. But apparently, when people drive Jeeps, they leave ducks on each other's cars. And so and maybe Alicia drives the Jeep, so that's why she's doing that. But she brings rubber ducks to Alicia's home so that they can decorate them to put on to other Jeeps. But I didn't know about ducking at all. Let me know if you guys are ducking. Send me a picture. I didn't know about that. We then get into the Arabian Nights party prep and Joellen finding out that she wasn't invited because she FaceTimes Alicia while Alicia and Rosie are getting ready. Joellen's a little upset. She kind of tries to have a dig in her confessional, but it doesn't really land. It just sounds lame. It just like she tries to be like, "Oh, Rula's gonna ask a genie for her husband to not cheat on her," and it's just like it's a little corny. But there's a lot of active beef going on Real Housewives of Rhode Island right now, right? Because Alicia and Liz have beef. Rosie and Kelsey have beef. Joellen had beef with Rula. Joellen had beef with Liz. Liz had beef also with Kelsey at a certain point, and that's a lot of beef, you know? So we do have a lot of issues going on. Mostly Liz and Joellen seem to be the people that have the most conflict, but also Rosie and Kelsey have also been simmering all season long. And then there's just Alicia. And I just feel like, when Alicia shows up to the party, I think we really get a glimpse in who Alicia really is. And I feel like there's a reason why she's ahead on the charts because she does kind of give that vibe of being like the popular cheerleader who probably was actually really nice to everybody. Like she shows up and she's like, "Hi, how are you? Oh, hello." And she's just sweet. She's just very sweet. And I like Alicia's energy. I think she means really well. And I think that she genuinely, she's a little sassy. Like she's got some edge to her. But overall, she's seems to be really kind spirited. At the party, Kelsey and Rosie, their guys have a talk to the side, Bill and Rich, and they say, "We think the girls should make up so that everyone can get along and things can go more swimmingly." And so they bring the girls together and they try to have a makeup moment. And Rosie says that she doesn't believe that Kelsey's apology is real. And I think that Rosie's being too hard on Kelsey because Kelsey says, "Look, maybe I joked too early and it wasn't the time to joke. And I apologize for hurting your feelings." That's what she says. I don't know what else Rosie is expecting from Kelsey. That's a good apology in my book. She acknowledges that where she messed up, how she messed up. And then she's also saying, "Hey, and if I hurt you, I'm sorry." That is a full apology. So I think Rosie holds a grudge and I think she doesn't want to forgive Kelsey. She says, "I think Kelsey just wants to hate me." And it's like, I think you don't want to see the good in her. Actually, let's call it like it is. Now, Alicia and Liz, they also have a makeup moment. And this also seems to be like they both have known each other for so long. They don't want to keep fighting over something that they can get over. But I am going to give Alicia like us point because in her confessional, she says, I'll forgive, but I won't forget. And I get that. Like sometimes you can forgive someone, but you can't forget how they did things. And I think, Liz bringing up a point that Alicia was, you were never homeless. That was really intense. But I think that's how emotionally intelligent adults handle things. It's like, I see it. I see how you did me. I appreciate the apology. And I'm going to watch out from now on. And I think that's right. And, it seems like Liz and Alicia, they both accept each other's apologies and they're ready to move forward. Kelsey and Rosie, I don't even know if they accept each other's apologies, but they do take a shot on it, even though Rosie's taking a shot of water and they try to move forward. And I'm not riding the fence. I think I'm not team Rosie and I'm not team Kelsey, but I think that Rosie is harder on Kelsey and doesn't need to be. Kelsey's life is kind of not as that glamorous. I don't know why Rosie's so hard on her. We then see Rosie talk to Rula, and this is kind of awkward and painful because Rosie is the first person who's seen Rula since the cast trip and actually brings up the fact that there's a video of Brian hugging the mistress a day or two before the polo match. And she says, look, I didn't want to bring this up, but I feel like I have to. It feels weird to not tell you. And, there's Alicia standing right there. And Alicia didn't want to tell Rula. And when Rula looks at her like, why am I now finding out about this? Alicia's like, I didn't want to know about it, so I didn't want to talk about it. Don't look at me. I don't know a thing. But the thing is like Rula basically takes that point of view too. She's like, ignorance is bliss, babe. I don't want to see the video. And then Brian comes up and Rula's like, they're talking to me about a video. And Brian's like, it's fake news. Like they're all just like, oh, timestamps get changed. It's like, I've never heard of anyone being so committed to a video that they're changing timestamps. I've never heard of that. What are they talking about? Like delusional. Rula is delusional. Brian is delusional. Rosie did her part. She tried her best. And the next scene, the party's over. Nothing gets resolved with the video, by the way. And it doesn't even turn out into a big blow up as much as Rula just being like, I'm not dealing with this now. And then in her confessional, she's like, I wish Rosie wouldn't have brought this up at the party. But it seems like to me, Rula, there was no good time to ever bring it up because you don't want to deal with the thing in front of you. Period. Kelsey and Liz are out clam hunting together, and I feel like this is a pretty good piece of content. It's just like fun and funky. Also on Real Housewives of Atlanta this week, we also got the girls fishing. So I like this concept of the women catching their own, hunting and gathering, if you will. Liz says this is laborious. Kelsey says she doesn't know what laborious means, which I don't know if she's kidding or if she's serious. I'm worried. I'm worried. Kelsey says she's planning a trip to Block Island, and it's going to be a couples trip where the husbands and the wives all go. She said, this is where I get genuinely excited, to have everyone together. And to me, I go like, okay, we haven't actually had a co-ed cast trip in quite some time. It really is giving me like OG, like Atlanta. Like, do you remember when like Apollo threw Kenya in the pool and it was drama? You know, like Kenya was flirting with people's husbands on the trip and it was a mess. And I feel like that's what kind of we're getting again, right? It's like the energy of cast trips that are co-ed is totally different. And on some of these Housewives franchises, the women don't have any men. So like you don't get the chance to see them have this instance. But, here we do. And I think that's really fun. In one of the last scenes of the episode, we see Joellen talking to her husband about this trip that they're all going on. And concurrently, we're still with Liz and Kelsey. Liz says she's doesn't plan on apologizing to Joellen and she doesn't think she did anything wrong. And Joellen sounds like she's planning on not apologizing to Liz because she doesn't think she did anything wrong. So obviously that's going to merge into some really big issues of Joellen versus Liz. I think I'm on Joellen's side. I feel like even though Joellen was in business that wasn't hers, I feel like she wasn't being right. And I think it wasn't right that she pulled Joellen's hair and Liz needs to say sorry. But you know what? They only have one more episode to wrap things up because it's the season finale. And I'm like, how? It's a super short season. But maybe because it was like kind of the pilot season, they were kind of testing things out because Real Housewives of Beverly Hills was like 22 episodes. Like it was like super long. This is the 11th episode. We're going to go to 12 episodes. And then even if there's a 3-episode reunion, only a 15-episode season at that, And I don't even know if it'll be a 3-part reunion because I don't know if there's enough drama for a 3-part reunion. So I feel like we got here so fast. We just got to know some of these women. I have so many questions, but I guess they're already going to start filming season 2 pretty quickly. So I guess more Rhode Island to come. I don't know. I wasn't ready. Let's look at the scorecard though. So Alicia is running away with the lead, you guys. She has 40 points overall. She did earn a point this last episode that brought her up to 40. And so she's been actively doing the work of being the most like us. Meanwhile, Rosie, Joellen, and Ashley are in a three-way tie at 25 points for going into the finale. And I feel like that's pretty interesting. It'll be interesting to see who emerges as maybe in second place next to Alicia. Maybe one of them gets a lot of moments in this episode and becomes tied or ahead of Alicia. But we do have a three-way tie with Rosie, Joellen, and Ashley. And then anyone still could really close the gap. I think that the last bit on Real Housewives of Rhode Island that's interesting is our friend of Dolores only got 5 points the whole season, but she also didn't get a lot of camera time. So Dolores only had one Like Us moment. RHOA and Liz are actually at the bottom with 10 points. So, and then Kelsey's in the middle with 15. So it is really interesting. It still is anyone's match. I think at the bottom we kind of know where things land, but at the top it's close. So we'll see more to come. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but before we get into Atlanta, I want to tell you first about Venable. If you are someone who is constantly recommending things to people, your favorite skincare, the show you can't stop talking about, the snack you buy every single week at Trader Joe's, Venable is literally built for you. It's an app where you can share your favorite things and actually earn from over 40,000 brands, which, as someone who has been recommending things for free my entire life, I wish I'd found out about this sooner. You can skip the waitlist with my code BMC88 at Benable.com. That's B as in boy, M as in mom, C as in Coca-Cola, 88. Okay, let's get into Atlanta. Okay, so Real Housewives of Atlanta, episode 10. We start off with Pinky in a business meeting because Pinky Cole is working on a pilot, y'all. And I need everyone to take this pretty seriously because I didn't realize that Pinky had like real producing credits. She was a part of casting and producing on Ayanla Fix My Life. And she also was a producer on The Maury Show. And what I love is that she's pulling in friends from all over and basically helping produce her segments on Real Housewives of Atlanta because we now have a casting pool of Notori Hoffman from 3LW and Power. And she's going to be playing Pinky in the TV show pilot. Now, I know there's been a lot of housewife shows that have come and gone on this show, but I do feel like Pinky is an indie producer, and I'm going to give her a Like Us point for that because I have a feeling that this might be better than Life Twirls On. Life Twirls On was like sad compared to what feels like might be happening with, I don't know if the show is called Edgewood or her production company is called Edgewood. I'm still trying to figure that part out, but Like Us point for Pinky the producer. She might have more producing credits than Kenya. No shade. Just calling it like I see it. Now the girls are showing up to Lake Bailey, Cynthia's house, and it's Porsha, Drew, and Angela and Phaedra. They all show up and they're meeting Cynthia's boyfriend Prince, who seems like kind of an island guy, like maybe like the cooler version of Peter. And I just like I love that Cynthia loves her an island man. I respect the consistency. He seems really cool. He's like a blend of her husband that she was married to, Peter Thomas, but also Leon, which is Noelle's father. They all just seem like kind of similar. I don't know. I find that to be a little funny. It seemed like Cynthia clearly has a type. Once everyone gets there, they all sit on the couch and they all look so comfy. Like I love this group of girlfriends. I want to hang out with them. Like Portia catches up all the girls with her K Michelle drama because Cynthia says, okay, well, me and Pinky brought Portia and K Michelle together. And it seems like there might be something happening there. And so Portia starts sharing kind of all the gossip. She says, I think that me and K Michelle have made amends. I started talking a little bit about why K Michelle thinks that someone is gossiping about her. And Angela chimes in and Angela says, well, I thought that it was Shamia who was the one that was stirring the pot with K Michelle. And so Angela starts going into her beef with Shamia. And Portia's like, look, I got to go to the bathroom. And then she says that she wants no part of being talking bad about Shamia. And I actually really appreciate that because I like that Portia's not choosing to add fuel to the fire. Like, she's like, this doesn't involve me. I don't need to be here making facial expressions or laughing or doing anything. Like, I don't want to get caught up in making a bad situation worse. I'm just going to be neutral and let it be. And so I'm going to give Portia a Like Us point for that because I think that's the right thing to do. And I actually like the character that we're seeing from Portia to be like, I'm not going to pile on and be mean. If Angela has beef with Shamia, that's her business, but I'm gonna walk away. But Angela, man, she's pulling out the punches here. She's saying so many things about Shamia. She's like, she's sleeping with all these NBA players. This is what it is. This is what it is. And Cynthia and Phaedra are shocked. honey. They are like, "What? Excuse me? Excuse me?" It's a lot. And Angela said, "I wish I would have said more to her, but we didn't get to finish because she left." Everything is so messy, but I really liked the way that Porsha handled herself here by like walking away and not being a part of the drama. That's the right thing to do. K. Michelle and her son FaceTime, and I didn't realize that K. Michelle had a son who was 21 years old. I guess he's a recent college grad and he has a corporate job in DC. And she's like being such a proud mama in this clip. It's very cute and genuinely sweet. And you know what? I at first I wasn't gonna give K Michelle a like us point this episode at all, but in thinking about this, I actually do feel like Kay deserves to get a point here because being a proud mom is something that is so relatable and like she has so much to be proud of. It's like her son, finished school. She said he graduated the top of his class. He has a corporate job. And I just think that's really cute. And Kay Michelle's no slouch herself. She's also a college graduate and has worked very hard in her life, so she has a lot to be really proud of. We then start leaning into Gerald's birthday because we're going back to the house hang, and Shamia gets text messages, Phaedra and Cynthia, and says, "Oh, there's going to be a party for Gerald's birthday. Everyone wear African clothes." And Cynthia's like, "This party is tomorrow." But Porsha says, "Well, Dennis got invited a week ago, but Porsha was not invited because Shamia didn't want to fake it." And so I go, okay, like maybe, Shamia's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that you guys didn't know about the African wear. I invited everyone late because it's a surprise party." And Portia's like, "She didn't invite everybody late. Like she's lying." I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a lot, but I think Portia's a little sad she's not invited. But I get where Shamia's coming from by not inviting Portia because they do have real beef. But it feels like Shamia's the one who's hanging on to the beef. It feels like Portia's not the one hanging on to this beef. It's Shamia. And, it's her beef to squash. I genuinely believe that. I think it's Shamia's beef to squash. They get to the party and it is a surprise and it's really cute. Shamia kind of pretended there was a family photo shoot and then everyone arrives to the house. And I like that the housewives don't get there until after the family party. It's kind of was like a family party and then it was a friend party. So all the girls show up and Kelly starts crying that Gerald and Shamia are couples goals. And K Michelle was like, "What is going on? Like, why are they so invested in each other's relationships here? Like, this is so weird." And then Kelly's like, "I was really drunk. I don't even remember giving a speech." And I feel like that actually explains a lot more because I'm like, what is going why is she crying about them? Also, like, are they couples goals? Gerald barely wants Shamia to work. I don't know about all that. Shamia then continues to like double down on her issue with Angela because Angela's also not at the party, but Cynthia is. And Cynthia's like, "What is the deal?" And Shamia's like, "Well, Bigfoot." And she keeps calling Angela Bigfoot. And Cynthia's like, "Look, as a member of the Bigfoot community, I'm going to need you to chill." But they're like, they didn't. She's like, "I don't want to. I want to call her Bigfoot." And I don't really feel like Bigfoot is even that good of a nickname. It's like if you're gonna have a petty nickname, make it a good nickname. Like have a good petty nickname. That Bigfoot is dumb. It's like a little body shaming. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel particularly clever. It's just corny. But I guess like so many people think Shumi is corny. I don't really think Shumi is corny. I think she's pretty cute. But I do hate this nickname. I don't think the nickname is very good. I think it's pretty bad. And by the way, at the end of this, there's no resolution. There's no resolution between Shami and Angela, Shamia and Cynthia sticking up for Angela. There's no resolution. We just move on. We just move on to Portia and Giselle. And I love this link up. Giselle looks so good. Giselle from Real Housewives of Potomac. She's on this episode. She looks great. I like when we get like a Bravo verse crossover. And I do feel like Giselle and Portia feel like they would be friends in real life. They seem like the type of girls who would have been friends at church growing up. Like there's just something about them that feels natural. And Portia, again, like I said this too, is I feel like Portia really does believe like this is her show because she hangs out with all of the other housewives who it is their show. She is like with all the queen bees, and Giselle is one of those queen bees. And what I appreciate here is Giselle starts asking Portia again a little bit about the Shamia friendship. And I feel like Portia's just shown such great character this episode. And when it comes to her and Shamia, she's just because we aren't best friends, I don't need to treat you bad. And she's like, "So I'm not going to treat Shamia bad. It hurt my feelings. She didn't invite me to this party, but like, I'm going to keep still inviting her to stuff. I'm going to keep saying hi. I'm going to keep my side of the street clean, essentially." And I'm going to give Portia her second point of the episode because I genuinely believe this is how adults should operate when you are in like a mixed group with people, when you're coworkers. Like, I just feel like most people in the reality TV space don't choose to do this, but I think that in a lot of ways, Portia is showing that she's the bigger person and also that she understands how to operate the responsibility of being one of the lead members of this show. Now we get a little bit more drama with Pinky having auditions for her pilot, and then she, like, kind of asked Drew to audition for the pilot, and Drew was like, "Okay, yeah, but send me the stuff," and then Drew's manager chimed in, "But you can't really." Here's the deal, and Pinky should know this because she was a producer and she worked in this space, but I understand she worked in unscripted, which is a little bit more of the Wild West than film and TV. But like what should have happened is if Pinky was producing something, the producer calls the agent and says, "Hey, I have something for your client. I'd love for them to read. This is this is the script. Let me know if they'd be interested. I'd love to hear from them." That's how it should have gone. Or she said, "This is the offer," right? Like, here's an offer. If she was gonna offer, so she probably did that to Natari. Even though they're friends, there was probably the agent was involved some way, and I think Drew was in the right actually for being like, "I need to have this barrier because I can't just let people think that they can just send me material and I read everything because you can't do that, right? Like Drew is a working actor and she does need to have that separation of church and state with her friendships. And so I don't feel like Drew was in the wrong. Now, Shamia does do the audition, but Shamia is less experienced than Drew and she does read the lines and, she's very focused about it. I'm like, good for Shamia. I sound like I'm Shamia hating this episode. I promise I'm not, but I just like there's a lot going on. Now, Phaedra and K. Michelle, they have like a Southern Bells fishing moment. It's kind of like a crappy lake, but just them two. Phaedra goes to K. Michelle's house and she brings her a pecan pie. And K. Michelle says that means that Phaedra's a nut. It's kind of cute. Now, they're fishing, but they're fishing with, I've never heard of this. Have you guys heard of this? They're fishing with Kool-Aid wrapped hot dogs or like Kool-Aid dunked hot dogs as bait. And I don't think fish would like Kool-Aid because it's like, why would a fish know anything about sugar? You know what I mean? Like, why would you cover the saltiness that a fish wants with sugar? I don't know. That didn't make sense to me. So they didn't catch any fish, but they did have a hangout. And Kay Michelle said she's close with Phaedra, and I understand it. They both have a little country way about them, and I think that's really cute. Drew invites all the girls to watch her sing the national anthem at a community event, and the girls show up. But I don't know why there's drama. Like Pinky shows up with drama, and Shamia shows up with drama, and it's like, why show up at all? It was an event for someone who passed away at that. It's like, why show up with a stank ass attitude? I don't get it. Drew has a sharp tongue, but I don't really feel like she does anything to anybody. Like it didn't really feel like there was any reason for everyone to be that intense with her. But she shows up. She gets pulled away because her manager had her back and was like, "You got to practice, be ready for your singing." She sings the national anthem. Mid singing it, Pinky goes, "Oh, you got to hit that note." And Drew does hit the note. She sounds really good, actually. K. Michelle shows up, but she doesn't get out of the car because she doesn't want to hear Drew sing the national anthem for some reason because K. Michelle hates Drew for reasons I don't fully understand. So she finally gets out of the car. She says hi to everybody. And then for some reason, she looks at Drew and says, "I'm not here for you. I'm just here for the event." And it's like, okay, rude. They end up doing drinks after the event, and it's K. Michelle, Shamia, and Drew. None of the other ladies show up. And what we see is Drew really get under K. Michelle's skin. And I don't know what the deal is. It feels like there's something that happened in their past that we're not being told or that we don't know about. So, like, what do you guys think this backstory is? Because I think it's so much more than K. Michelle being like, "Oh, Drew, you were looking into my past and you said some stuff I didn't like." And I feel like Drew kind of stands her ground. She's like, "If I said something you didn't like, you need to tell me. Say what it is. Like, what's the deal?" And K. Michelle gets so upset. She's like, "I gotta go. I gotta go." She gets up. She leaves her purse, you guys. She leaves her purse. And then because K. Michelle gets upset, then Shamia pretends like she's upset. And she's basically being rude to Drew about singing as well. And so then Drew gets left by herself and she just says, "People are so fake." And that was the last line of the episode. And people be so fake. And you know what, Drew, you're right. They are. So you're going to get a Like Us point for that. So at the end of the episode, you guys, we have a tie in Atlanta. We have a tie for number one. We have Porsha with 30 points and K. Michelle with 30 points. They both are in the lead. That is 6 Like Us moments overall. Now, Porsha has had hers really sprinkled throughout, but in this last episode, she did get 2 points. And K. Michelle got 1. So that puts 30 points each for them. Now we do have a bit of a 4-way tie for second place. It's Angela, it's Phaedra, it's Drew, it's Pinky. They all have 20 points apiece. We have Cynthia on her own with 15 points, Shamia with 10, and Kelly only with 5. But there still is quite a bit of time left. and it's anyone's match. So we will see who ends up taking it all in Atlanta. But for now, that's the scorecard and it's looking exciting. So that is your Like a Scorecard for Real Housewives of Rhode Island, episode 11, Real Housewives of Atlanta, episode 10. We are one episode away from the season finale in Rhode Island, and I am not emotionally prepared for that. And with Atlanta, we are cooking. There's some gas going on. I think we need to figure out what's going on with Drew and K. Michelle. And I guess we'll find out next week. So thanks for listening. I'll talk to you all next week. Follow us at Like Us Pod. Follow me at Erin Jones-Wesley. And if you want to play along at home, you find the scorecard at erinjw.com/keep score. Stay tuned for more Housewives. Bye, friend.